Hey guys, Chris here, and today we're going to be looking at two of my favorite guitar players, Eric Johnson, of course, and Steve Vai. So just kind of a little mini quick lesson about, like combining their kind of, ideas with the guitar. But common denominator, of course, Jimi Hendrix is an influence on both guys. So, from the get-go, you're going to be doing some Slipknot kind of, Curtis Mayfield inspired stuff. Kind of the guy that inspired Jimmy, of course. But this kind of thing here, if you're not familiar with it, kind of take like an A shape, like an A chord. And then right directly above on the second, fourth string, a half step on the second string and a hole on the four, you form another chord like that. And then you can put that like if you were doing an E. And it gives you a very Hendrixy vibe. So that's kind of a useful tool. So you'll hear like Steve has several moments in a lot of his songs where he does that, like it's like in Boy from Seattle. Okay, and then Eric Johnson all the time. I mean, you hear that tons of songs he does it in, Okay, now in getting into lead, if you wanted to combine those aspects, Steve's a tapper a lot of Eddie Van Halen inspired. Of course, he's got his own take on it. But EJ, a lot of times, will put his picking hand on the fretboard as well. So sometimes you'll hear like, this kind of thing with EJ. So you're voicing notes like that. And sometimes just to kind of color a chord, EJ will do that. So there you are, putting your pick hand on the fretboard, so utilizing all your, avenues of whatever you need there. So there's a common denominator. And melody-wise, I think sometimes there's some similarities. I mean, you'll hear like, with Steve, you got like, so you're getting this kind of thematic, almost, soundtracky kind of vibe. So you'll hear that come up a lot in both players. If you wanted to, actually, compare Cliffs of Dover, it's very thematic, So it's got that kind of theme kind of thing going on. So think of those kind of possibilities when you're cooking up your own stuff. You can see how both of these players, EJ and Steve, kind of drew from their influences. Of course, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, Eddie Van Halen with Steve, EJ, Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, even the jazz like Howard Roberts and Wes Montgomery. So there's another one, Steve Vai and EJ both use octaves. So Steve being, like a lot of times with the lead, doing it that way. And then EJ with, like in the East-West. So, just think of all the different ways, it's fun to kind of compare these guitar players, And of course, when Steve I think, if we're going to get on the last thing is like comparing picking, Steve has an excellent pick hand too, which he does not use quite as much as he did probably maybe in the beginning. But I've seen Steve in, earlier days videos, really really utilizing alternate picking and economy picking. So that's one strong point too of Eric, you know, where if you're playing in the pentatonic, you're going to be walking, you know, using those economies and alternate. So think of those ways that you can kind of add maybe some influence from both of those players, and you'll have a great time. I will see you next time. Thanks.